This is Dr. Thomas Klein coming to you this evening from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm a specialist in chronic and rare disease. I know the impact of our oldest pain medicine, the opiates, been here 5,000 years, and I've seen it restore lives. And in spite of what everybody says, this is a very, very safe medicine. You can use it basically all your life without having serious side effects. The one side effect we worry about is addiction, and that's rare, as we've shown before. It occurs in about 1 in 250 people, and it is genetic. We're talking about opiate addiction now, not addiction to other substances. So that's a very important fact, and it's the reason that substance control over the past 100 years, since they outlawed heroin in 1925, has not worked because they have the wrong medical information. So now we are having problems getting prescriptions filled. And what's happening is, instead of science, reason, and compassion, we are now dealing with this problem. The suspicion of doctors, patients, pharmacies, everybody, that they're basically dope peddlers is ruining the ability of people with long-term pain disease and even short-term pain disease to get their prescriptions filled. We've heard from people all over the country. I have spoken to 7 pharmacists, and when a pharmacist says, I can only fill your prescription for a certain amount, that's a very serious problem, and it is not legal. You can't just say, I'm going to give you part of your prescription. It's the pharmacist's job to fill the prescription. I write the prescription, the pharmacist fills it. It's real simple. If the pharmacist cannot fill it, then there's something wrong. And what's wrong, it's not the pharmacist. What's wrong is the medicine that the pharmacist has to offer you. The medicine is manufactured, and then it goes and made into pills, and then it goes to distributors, and the distributors then take it to the pharmacy. And so pharmacists order from the distributors what they need in their pharmacy. Every pharmacy is different. But what I found out in talking to pharmacists, because they're the ones who know, and from what we're learning from JAF, looking into the matter, it appears that the pharmacists are not getting what they ordered from their distributors. There are 11 pharmacies in our area that have been cut off. The distributors have said, oh, you're too much of a risk. You're cut off. What kind of risk? Well, then the distributors hire these people known as analytics. Analytics have been discussed in the news, and some concerns about these people gathering data and then drawing their own conclusions. The worst example is the Brandeis University PDMP prescription registry system that registers every doctor and every patient, and then develops red flags based on their own data. Analytics come into play when the state and federal government gathers information on doctors. I know a doctor in the Midwest who was the highest prescriber in the state because he had the largest practice, was raided by 25 DEA agents simply because of analytics. People manipulating data and coming up with conclusions that they really got to be careful about coming up with. So now we have these distributors, and there's a big distributor in our area who is putting pressure on pharmacies not to exceed a certain percentage. A certain percentage in their pharmacy they cannot go over to prescribe pain medicines. I talked to a pharmacist in the Charlotte area. They have a great big pharmacy, independent, but they've been told that they're over their percentage, which is usually around 20%, and therefore they can't prescribe any new medicines to any new patients. They can't prescribe. The pharmacy is shut down by some agency, some federal agency or state agency, and so we need to get this fixed. And the best way to get it fixed is to file complaints with the State Board of Pharmacy. The Board of Pharmacy is in charge of this kind of stuff. So you're not complaining about the pharmacy, and you need to make that clear when you make a complaint. This is about the pharmacist's inability to get enough medicine from the distributors. And I think if pharmacists come forward, they'll help with the problem. Obviously, they're afraid of having their business shut down, which is a pretty serious concern. But in the pharmacists that I've talked to for our patients, the North Carolina 34, who, in spite of me not being able to prescribe, we have now some relief doctors that are helping, and they go back to their pharmacies and they can't fill them anymore. I'm sorry, we don't have the medicine. The suppliers have cut us off. We don't have a single pain medicine in the store anymore. Something's seriously wrong here. And so the way to get it investigated is to file complaints with the State Board of Pharmacy. They're very nice. You just call up and you say, look, I have a complaint. I can't get my medicine filled, and my pharmacist is trying his best or her best to get these things filled, and we can't. So there's some kind of systemic problem that really needs to be looked at fast. We've got 10 million people in the U.S. that have serious, long-term, chronically painful diseases that are already have been cut off by doctors. Now the rest of them are going to be cut off because pharmacists can't get the medicine for them, and they would like to, but they can't. So, Board of Pharmacies, when they asked the other day for examples of problems with pharmacies, I got tons of responses. So we need to really do this, and we need to have all of you contact your networks that you have on Facebook and get everybody to file complaints with the Board of Pharmacy that you cannot get your medicine filled. And if there's lots of complaints, then the pharmacists themselves won't feel bad that somebody's put in a complaint about them and the pharmacy, because that's not what it is. Board of Pharmacy's in charge of this stuff. Let them investigate. It's important to realize that these agencies are there to receive tips. It's kind of like the police department. The police cannot operate without tips. For example, if you really suspect there's drug dealing going on, you need to report it to the DEA, because they're the drug police and they work on tips. Your local police, if you think somebody's robbing a store, you got to let them know, because they need tips. Now, it's perfectly okay for the law enforcement people to be suspicious, because being suspicious is how they investigate things, so it's okay. It is not okay for pharmacists and doctors, especially doctors, and other patients to be suspicious of somebody because they take opioids or opiates or pain medicine, which is a much better word. So get on the horn, call the Board of Pharmacy, and be nice and say, I'm having a problem getting my prescriptions filled for my pain medicine. And just leave it at that and let them figure it out. So thank you and good evening.